Good morning, Math 8 students. Welcome to another episode of Math 8. Yes, it is. It is a Thursday morning, and we're getting ready to rock and roll. So, what you see on the page here is our stained glass blueprint assignment number 10, which is due on January 26th. I just want to do a quick tutorial or a quick run through on how you want to go about doing this. So here's the graph, but I'm going to go up to the actual assignment itself. This is on Google Classroom, so if you forget it, it's still here. So a couple things. Reading the directions is very important. So the most important thing, as it says for number one, is to make sure you graph in pencil, because this is one of those assignments that's difficult, and it's going to be hard for you to not make a mistake. I've made mistakes when I've done this assignment, so please do it in pencil. The second thing, make sure you're coloring everything in, and you can color it your way, because it's going to look like stained glass. So use the colors, use your creativity, and go from there. So a little bit of review. You have a whole bunch of linear equations for this first part. So linear equations, like we remember, are our slope-intercept form. That's what this is. A linear equation slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Very, very, very important. You will see this next year as an algebra student in the high school. This is not going away. You're just going to see more of it. The hope is that you thank us, you come back and thank Miss McKeachik and I, because, and even Miss Dombrowski as well, because we are talking about this year. So, here's our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Remember, the m represents your slope, right? Your rise over your run. So I'm just going to put this represents slope. And the b value represents a variety of things. So the b value we know as your y-intercept. So in other words, we'll talk about that in a minute, but your y-intercept is where this line starts or where it crosses the y-axis on your graph. So I'm just going to put y-intercept here. We also know that not only a starting point, but initial value, the beginning. So there's a lot of different ways to recognize it. So let's just take a quick look at number one. So you have y equals negative 3 half x plus 12. So when we go through this, we have to identify two things, right? So we have to identify the slope, which is right here. So our slope here is negative 3 over 2. So you should be thinking in your head right now that that's going to be a negative slope or a negative line, right? So it's going to be nice negative. It's going to be going downhill. So that's our slope, or our m value. And if I change colors and we'll go to purple, your graph should start at 12 on the y-axis. So that point would be 0, 12, right? And we're going to graph it just to show you on the next page, but I want you guys to see, right? So these are the kind of things, when you're going through these questions, you should be doing that. You should be going through each one, and you should be making sure you know what your slope is and you know where it's starting. It's very important to take your time. And remember, you're connecting, right? You're not connecting the dots, but you're making these lines. So rise over run, right? Once you start at 12, you're going to rise and run. And we'll talk about that here in a second. So I have this. I'm just going to erase this so I can move down to the next page. So when we go down here, we're actually, like we said before, we're going to start at 12. So if we start at 12, 12 is going to be right here, right? So that's our starting point. That's our beginning. That's our initial value, right? And we said we're going to go down 3, right? Down 3 over 2. So 1, 2, 3 over 2 would be right here. 1, 2, 3 over 2, that would be right here. So usually to get a line, you need 3 points. So I have 3 points here. I'm going to use my line tool, and my line tool is always funky. So we're going to make sure we go here. For some reason, my lines are always off. So when you do that, it's going to go through those lines, right? And then you have arrows on the end, right? So it's very important. There's a couple different things I would do. I would make sure you label the line, right? You're going to want to label the line as number 1, or you're going to want to label it as the actual equation. So very important, a couple different things. So make sure you're graphing it accordingly. The other thing I want to show you, you're going to want to go from 1 to 2. You're going to want to take your time, okay? Make sure you're checking your work. Rushing through this is not going to give you a good grade or a good stained glass blueprint in the end. So take your time. So looking at this, I'm going to erase this again. And I'm going to go back up the top, and I'm just going to talk about part 2. So part 2 is very important because in part 2, now you just have points. So the points that you have, right, we have our points, and our points are identified by an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So you always have x and y. It goes in alphabetical order. So I'm just kind of giving you that information. So we always go on our horizontal axis, which is -2, 0. So we have -2, 0, and I'll show you how you graph that. This is where you're going to connect the dots. So if I have these 2 points are connected to each other, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. So I'm going to erase that. We're going to go down here, and I got -2, 0, and 0, 4. So -2, 0, and 0, 4 are going to be right here. So -2, 0 is right here, actually on the line. So we'll make that pink. -2, 0 is on the line, and then we had 0, 4. So 0 and then the 4. So you're just going to connect these lines. That's all you're doing. So let me try to freehand it, which is going to be, but I don't suggest you freehand it. I suggest you use a straight edge or a ruler. So what I'll do, sometimes it's funky how this does this. And actually, we'll go a segment because these are just going to connect to each other. So our one line is right here at 0, 4, and the other one is at 2, 0. So you're just going to connect the dots like that. That's all you're going to do. But that's only for that part 2. The first part, you're drawing lines. And the lines should run continuous through the graph paper, and you should have arrows at the end, and you should label those. So take your time. If you have any questions or concerns, let Ms. McKeechick and I know. Have a great Thursday, and we'll see you in class soon.